So this is the character here.
Shark, hold up. It's a... Holly, get us out of this! But Harley, do not touch us.
But you saying I can't really makes me want to, you know?
No! Harley, no!
Worth it.
And so they have like, I don't really have a problem with stuff like this, but I do have a problem with what seems to be kind of like double standards, where it's like, how could you ever have a sympathetic male character do this to a female?
Strange emotions. Tell me about it. Wasn't expecting you to come in fun size.
Do any of you guys think that that would ever make it past production? No, I don't think so. I don't think that they would ever have a male character do something like this and then have in any shape or form, sympathetic portrayal of that male character. Because like, she is a psychopath. She is fucking insane. But the truth is that she's not portrayed as a one-dimensionally evil character, is she? Yeah, exactly.
Is
I think
she?
it's weird that, like,
is she really, Asmongold? We're going into this. I went down the sort of Fable rabbit hole, and it led me to a very interesting place out here. So let's get into it, and let's burn away the midnight oil with not that again, with something completely different that I want to shift over to. So let's get this rolling. I know I've said I don't really like using IMDb as credit as a source, but as a resource, completely different. So let's get this going. IMDb Fable. So it started with me curious if there really was any connection between Sweet Baby Inc. and Fable. Turns out it might not be that realistic. Okay. So I went down this list to try to see, and this Martin Lancaster dude's a ghost. Okay. He has absolutely nothing, but look what I found. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Direct connection to Sweet Baby Inc., maybe? Maybe, not really. Who knows? Separate production companies. So, behind that, I looked at these other people. Kim Askill, let's say it like that, and Anne McGill. Now, not the greatest source. Okay. This is the one that stood out to me. Quite interesting indeed. Let's look at her credits. Yeah, quite interesting. Just Fable and that. Quite interesting. But when I went and clicked this, it gave her a credit for Warner Brothers Suicide Squad. There's also the other chick. So let me start with her. No, let me start with Kim. Kim Griffin. I can understand why she wouldn't want to go with that particular name, but I'm going to give this a go, and we'll just know the other player at play. Someone quite interesting. Working at Playground, which is currently doing... Oh, she doesn't have the credits for Fable. She's credited. Again, IMDb is quite a crazy place to go. And as it may seem, Anne has stepped down from this particular project, as I found out in my research. So, let's start at the start. There's also, all right, I'm skipping one article because I want to skip-a-loo through this stuff. There's an article, The Rise and Fall, that does not bring this up. So let's start with this particular thing. Article 2018, Playground Games hires BioWare, EA Motive. I actually think that's the person, that's someone from the Dead Space remake, strangely enough, and Rocksteady Talent. Okay, who gets mentioned? All the boys, of course. Maybe the girls weren't on to this. The Rocksteady team, who recent Batman games, Arkham Knight. A whole bunch of other things. Are we getting any girl power? No. So sexist. So horrible. And this man, I'm finding it weird. Let me not dox him. I guess anyone can go to this, but nope. Let me not dox the man. He seems to have almost no social credit score. Oh, sorry, that's the CCP. He almost seems to have no social footprint out there. So, yeah, leading up to this, get into the ultimate point and found a way so I don't screw up like I did last night. Just keeping it simple, stupid. Okay, so Playground Games is doing the Fable 4, or some people are considering the reboot. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Martin Lancaster's LinkedIn profile, the only social media I could really find for him. Finally, their latest hire is Kim McAskill. Just going to say it like that, even if it's not pronounced that way. So she was the latest hire as of 2019. Fun stuff. Doesn't tell us a lot in particular. Thank you, Game Bolt, for being so unhelpful. But we can determine she is on Fable. What we can't tell is that she worked on Suicide Squad because her credits aren't within any of that. But that's really besides the point. A little bit more context before I go on. Another article. Yes, accept all cookies. Cookies are good. I'm not Cookie Monster. Okay, writer behind Control, which is sort of funny because that's almost the interconnection tissues between Alan Wake the first and Alan Wake 2, which I recently talked about. And Mikhail, leaving Ubisoft Massive. Massive, I guess that's the name of it. Sorry, Massive has a certain connotation around certain parts. For Playground Games. So now it's Thursday. She'll start working at the UK-based studio. Worked at Square Enix, Nintendo, Arcane, blah, blah, blah. And she's working. That's so all the credits on IMDb checks. The narrative development cycle for Control. I'm not even quite sure what that means. I have a little video in there I might link or even look at, but I don't think it's going to actually be terribly relevant. Okay, Miguel will report to Fables 3 narrative director Martin McCaster, who was previously the lead scriptwriter, blah, blah, blah. Third Rocksteady writer, Kim McCaskill, worked on Fable. Both these people, not McGill, but Martin Lancaster and Kim McAskill worked on Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League together, but she does not have a credit on that. You wondering why? Did I build up the analysis enough? Fair enough, fair enough. Let's get into the real juicy stuff now. So, I'm going to have to skip that. Kim McAskill for Justice League. Why is she not part of it anymore? Simply put, Rocksteady Dev says studio offered money after harassment complaint, but no apology. Withdrawing from consideration for award sponsored by Suicide Squad developer Kim McAskill says Rocksteady is image over intent. So this Kim, opposed to the Sweet Baby Inc. Kim, says the studio offered to pay her to resolve complaints stemming from her time with the studio, but refused to apologize for any wrongdoing. In 2018, seems a year later, she joined the Fable team with Mr. Lancaster over at there. So I'm wondering how much work Martin McLancaster had. I would assume he would have been part of this and she went to work with him on Fable, but she pulled out of it. Okay. She went to work for Fable, but had trouble with this. Quite complex. So Rocksteady's upcoming Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. So she lost her job in retaliation for her role as he came forward with the author of the letter. In 2020, it's not much. This is pretty much the same thing. There's a video here. Maybe I can take a break and just. Oh, it's private. Okay. There's something about it's so. Should I even show that since it's private? Don't know. Don't care. So let's see if this Twitter post is here. Okay, here it is. The Twitter video explaining all this mess is private. There's other videos I have that will explain it. Off to Twitter. Unfortunately, I'm bowing out of a Lifetime Achievement nomination for Women's in Game. Don't need sympathy or hatred, simply understanding. So sorry who voted. Warner Brothers taking accountability. Rocksteady, you can't sweep mistakes. And remember, this is over. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. So let's give a blah, 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 blah. Sorry you felt sexually harassed. I hope it didn't damage you too much, Kim. Okay, but she's bowing out a Lifetime nomination for Women in Game. And it's in the bottom. Okay, 2022 when this finally resolved. And good Lord, help me, I'm bad at screenshots. Love this. Protecting one morals and ethics is important beyond anything else. Narrowing. Okay, so all this happened in 2020. She finally announced it publicly 2022. And I do not know quite when she sort of bowed out of Fable project or if she had her work done like the other woman, Anna McGill. Wonder if they're related. Okay, update. Warner Brothers representative passed along the following statement. Investigations found there's no evidence for substantiating the allegations of this former employee who resigned in 2019. I think that's when she was picked up by the Fable team. So we stand against all forms of harassment, wish to take his allegations extremely seriously. We support those who have concerns they wish to raise. Therefore, we took the necessary time, blah, blah, blah. Statements one, investigated, conducted externally, independent law firm, seconded by blah, 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 legal speak. So they got out of this. But isn't it strange that Sweet Baby Inc. came in to soothe the image of this, and really no one is really talking about it out there. I find that quite interesting overall. So the validity of that, but yeah, and she is also out of it. So did I even mark that particular note? She has the credits. Lots of stuff here to actually go into, but no, I don't really have her going off unless this is it. We'll see. A little bit of a rush. Same thing, Guardian. Okay. I had other things here. Did it cuck me? Did it Neil Druckmann cut me here, or did I cuck myself? Okay, there's other articles, not just the Guardian. Well, there's the Guardian. Sort of cucking me because I looked at it too much. Same stuff, different day. Checked it all out. You can check for yourself. So it is definitely interesting how one of the lead writers on Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, sort of at this time frame, jumped ship with this woman, Kim McGill, and I don't know if he continued. His social media presence is non-existent besides his LinkedIn. So it's really hard to tell all about that. So we're coming back to full circle. And given how things have turned out, I just think it's really interesting that they had a sexual harassment claim that got mitigated. And somehow they brought in a consultant firm to maybe cover their ass or maybe to support the writing of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League as a support network. And anything else in particular? Nope, covered that. Just it's also weird that both Anna McGill and Kim are sort of off of Fable at the moment, but that could be something, that could be nothing, because yep. I'm wondering. So this woman was working under, oh, I'll say it, but I'll have to transfer it if he'll show me. So we have this woman already went over. Geez, what a terrible, terrible character model. Dude, what is she's wearing? Oh, they are definitely laying into her even here. Good on them. Okay, but this is a narrative. Fable narrative lead is leaving Playground Games. Fable has lost his narrative lead on Twitter that she was leaving Playground Games, new challenges. In August, I've stepped away from my role. Several wonderful years scribbling away at Fairy Tale Cottage. It feels like the right time for new challenges. Working on Fable was a dream come true. It's wrenching to leave it behind, but Playground has assembled a heroic, talented team. I know it's in good hands. I'm excited for what comes for them next and for me. Currently, it looks like she's working on a project with CD Projekt Red, so take that with a grain of salt from what I've seen. Yeah, she's worked at Control, Remedy, worked at Control, the sort of a bridge between Alan Wake 1 and Alan Wake 2. Fable is not clear who will take McGill's role. Fable 4 still doesn't have a release date. The developers haven't graced us with much gameplay footage. Molyneux, the good old Molyneux. Okay, that's enough fun stuff for now. So it's always good to know about all that fun stuff. I might be a little bit of schizo making this particular connection, but it sort of makes sense. Okay, they came to have a company like Sweet Baby Inc. They serve as support because of the sexual assault allegation. Okay, and we all just know. And there's not much to be said. The one video that actually leaked to it and her really reports, maybe there's a little more here and there, but no one's making much of a fuss. Everyone's moving on with their life. But we do have these videos here. They were news at the time. So let's see how it was reported at the time. Here's what I want to change up.
Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. Recent weeks have seen various figures in the games industry face a number of different sexual misconduct allegations. Multiple major figures at Ubisoft has been the subject of these allegations, and many have lost their positions. Now Rocksteady is in the firing line after multiple employees filed a letter to the bosses at the studio about a failure to act on.
So many people, this is on the Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, have lost their jobs. Let me just roll it back.
Multiple major figures at Ubisoft has been the subject of these allegations, and many have lost their positions. Now Rocksteady is in the firing line after multiple employees filed a letter to the bosses at the studio about a failure to act on various sexual harassment claims. Rocksteady is the London-based studio best known for the excellent Batman Arkham games and is set to unveil its new Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League game on Saturday. According to The Guardian's report, the letter was written back in 2018, but the problem is that little has been done to resolve the issues beyond one training seminar. The letter was signed by 10 of the company's 16 female employees and referred to slurs regarding the transgendered community.
Now, take this with a grain of salt. I have a backup video. It doesn't matter if these allegations are real or not for the context of this. It's all a matter of it was made, people lost their positions, probably some restructuring, and then 10 of them out of the 16 raised complaints, transgender community discussed a woman. He's going to say it. Discussing a woman in a derogatory or sexual manner with other colleagues. I just see the sort of connection between the Blizzard thing, the sexual harassment allegations, scandal. Now it's known because I guess that was substantiated. Why? Pretty much internal investigation from that article. But still, why did they bring in Sweet Baby Inc. if they were cleared of all charges? These women were obviously lying or something. Seems a little odd, but I do think that is sort of the reason why Sweet Baby Inc. was most likely. This is all speculation, but I think this is a strong form of speculation of why they had such a strong part, or probably a stronger presence in this game. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, comparison to anything else. But again, just a theory, just a game theory, folks.
Discussing a woman in a derogatory or sexual manner with other colleagues, and sexual harassment in the form of unwanted advances, leering at parts of a woman's body, and inappropriate comments in the office. One signatory explained, "I have heard everything from groping claims to incidents involving senior staff, all of whom are men. Yet the only thing we had as a result was a company-wide seminar that lasted an hour. Everyone who attended was asked to sign a statement confirming that they'd received the training. It felt like it was just a way for them to cover their asses." Rocksteady's official line on the matter is somewhat different, as one would expect. From day one at Rocksteady Studios, we set out to create a place where people are looked after, a place fundamentally built on respect and inclusion. In 2018, we received a letter from some of our female employees expressing concerns they had at that time, and we immediately took firm measures to address the matters that were raised. Over the subsequent 2 years, we have carefully listened to and learned from our employees, working to ensure every person on the team feels supported. In 2020, we are more passionate than ever to continue to develop our inclusive culture.
And according to Kim, not a Bel Air of Sweet Baby Inc., just to make that clear, but Kim, Mick, Askill, ironic, Kill the Justice League a little bit, I guess, here and there. But yeah, then all this language, blah, 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 standard virtue signaling after such allegation.
And we are determined to stand up for all our staff. Now, I'm not sure.
Also, I do want to note that motion, no, I don't know if that really matters. It's sort of weird. The company that did a whole bunch of racing games all suddenly hired in talent from Rocksteady at this time. 2018 when this complaint was originally issued. So there's probably a lot of questions I would have if I was to actually seriously engage with it. This is only a probing sort of thing that I think contributed to Rocksteady bringing in Sweet Baby Inc. to Kill the Justice League.
How a 1-hour seminar on how to not be a creep is a firm measure, especially since a number of the lesser signatories have now left the company as they believe not enough has been done. They also went on to criticize the appearance of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy in the Batman Arkham games, but did say that 97 to 98% of the developers there are incredible people, and it's so unfair that this will land on them because a few of them weren't managed properly. The story was published by The Guardian yesterday, but the newspaper contacted Rocksteady last Thursday for comment, which resulted in a full staff meeting where management discussed the letter for the very first time with the whole team. Until now, the letter was kept within the company by the signatories so as to avoid leaving on bad terms and not being credited for their work on Rocksteady's upcoming Suicide Squad game. Apparently, after
Kim, Mac Askill is probably happy now that she's not credited for that. But maybe not.
Everything happened with Ubisoft so publicly, the signatories shared the letter with The Guardian in hopes of making actual progress. I think a good outcome of publicizing the letter is basically showing the games industry in general that no matter how big your company is, how much you promote it as supportive of diversity, if you keep putting your head in the sand, you will eventually be outed. I think the most interesting thing about this whole case isn't what forms of sexual misconduct may or may not have happened, but the fact that management supposedly did next to nothing about it for 2 whole years. Clearly, the best way to get any sort of a result is to put the company's PR at risk, and that's exactly what happens by sharing the letter with the press. It's a particularly savvy strategy when there is a new game reveal coming very soon, meaning that everyone is already talking about Rocksteady anyway, so the signatories can make their voices even louder. Whether you agree with the decision to make it public or not is one thing, but it's definitely a smart move if you want to get your point heard. After the Guardian's article came out, so did this.
Oh. Maybe I should slow down. Maybe he has a clippity clip of this. Okay. Here's the woman at hand.
13-minute video by a former senior writer for Rocksteady, Kim McCaskill. Her video comes in direct response to the article, and she claims to be the woman who wrote the aforementioned letter, which was signed by a number of her colleagues. McCaskill left Rocksteady in 2019 after being one of the company's longest-standing writers and worked on the upcoming Suicide Squad game. She highlights a similar statement to the one quoted by The Guardian, saying that 99% of Rocksteady employees were some of the nicest people she's ever worked with, but that it's a shame one or two people had to ruin it all. She touches on her own experience of sexism at the company and how the culprit still remains at Rocksteady. McCaskill spoke to a number of female employees at the studio, many of which she'd never spoken with before, and almost all of them shared similar experiences of sexism and sexual harassment at the company. Despite pushback from HR and senior management, she persevered anyway before ultimately being pushed out of her role. After believing that things had improved after her departure, only to find out that they hadn't, McCaskill has publicly said that she now wants her name officially removed from the credits of her game Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. She finished the video by encouraging people not to boycott the game because the good devs deserve to have their work enjoyed and flourished, but says that management doesn't know what it's doing and doesn't deserve the team it has. Rocksteady has been teasing its new game for months now, and it's finally about to be revealed on August the 22nd during the DC Fandom event. There is a whole lot of hype around this game, but saying this is bad press for the title is an understatement, and that's on top of the shit show that Warner Bros. Is already going through at the moment. I don't have time to elaborate on that right now, but look it up, it's pretty bad. I don't really know.
It's not there anymore, okay? There's no videos on Kim's channel, just to clarify.
How to end this segment, but I will say that if it's true, fuck Rocksteady management, get your shit together, but we do need to see more evidence of what actually happened before we can definitively judge anything. And next up, yesterday Nintendo launched its...
And I don't care anymore. Okay, we go to the beautiful section of not believing all women, 'cause that's not what we do here. We are going to go to a woman-on-woman violence
welcome
here.
To Wednesday. People have asked.
We're going to go into some good old woman-on-woman hatred. Okay, anyone who's fans of Chud would know all about that. So we're gonna plug away the midnight oil and go with this. Oh, sorry. She also talked about Sweet Baby Inc. a few years later.
People them into Patreon videos, which I think I'm going to explore if there's something.
Sorry, I'm going to cut out the beginning.
I'm talking about this because makes it public, alleging sexism continues. Now, the thing that flagged for a lot of people in this article is they sort of cross the streams between behind the scenes behavior and the way characters dress in the games. Most people know the Arkham Harley. I'll pull it up for people who don't know. But it was an outfit that was very popular with cosplayers. I had to. Oh, that's the action figure. It's kind of terrifying looking. But here it is.
Roll that beautiful bean
I
footage.
think this is it. It gives you the idea, right? I mean, full.
Okay, sexist. This is one of the sexist things that probably really came across. Did this end up make it in the game? I'm wondering. Doesn't look like it. I'm guessing they've redesigned the game. So this takes a look at what the women who accused of the men of sexual harassment, just at least a small majority of the toxic male community before they left and went to Fable, and then I'm pretty sure she's off Fable now. So interesting. Curious to see what that is.
This is a toy version of it, but I mean, a corset like that is dangerous and wouldn't actually hold anything up because there's no anchor point. You know, her underwear showing. But it's Harley Quinn,
Okay.
right? So I actually had to make this two-tone bra for somebody for this costume for Halloween, and it was carried over into the company's output. Rocksteady doesn't have the best reputation for representing women, she said, citing the highly sexualized design and costuming of characters such as Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn in previous games. Sometimes you could see the surprise on their face when you said that's not how women dress. Now, Rocksteady, as you see here, acknowledged it received complaints about discrimination and harassment. They're saying they took it seriously. The signatories are claiming they didn't. We're going to have to wait and see about that. But I want to talk a bit about this idea that the way...
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty bunk. And I don't know how much
everybody
Anna.
be treated with respect behind the scenes. And I'll be the first one to admit it didn't always happen. We had to remove some people, we had to handle some stuff, but it was a priority. So this idea that, oh, just because you have women in sexy costumes in your art, it means you don't run a professional ship behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Let's just like stomp that flat right now, please. It's often
it's
the
cringe.
opposite. I learned a lot about having kind of an upbeat
Uh, And I have to wonder why, after this experience, why am I asking myself why they? Because I assume this happened in 2018. Sweet Baby Inc. was pretty much getting off the ground in 2018, if I'm remembering what Kim was talking about, the CEO. It started in 2018 and sort of latched onto this right away from the gate, I'm guessing here.
is one of the things that gives me pause about this letter. What they're claiming happened is like legit awful. Okay. They're saying that people were groped. They're saying this is back in 2018.
Again,
Slurs regarding the transgender community, discussing a woman in a derogatory or sexual manner with other colleagues.
no wonder they had to call in the consultants. How much power did the consultants have on the actual script rather than maybe the staff? It's probably debatable. I would say after something like this, a sort of coup like in Blizzard is completely possible to sort of speculate on. Slurs.
There's a gamut there. So let's break down each thing. Slurs regarding the transgender community is very vague. That could just be awkwardness. That could just be people like not knowing the right word to say, or it can be
That could be dude looks like a lady. Okay, we all know how sensitive some people are about the slurs against the transgenders. Okay, you look like a man.
heard from guys is they don't want to have to talk that way, and they're not terribly impressed when other guys talk that way, and yet they feel like they have to talk that way to be one of the guys. So we can have a discussion about that so that stops happening. Now, that's very different than leering at parts of a woman's body. Okay. In the unwanted advances, leering at parts of a woman's body, and inappropriate comments in the office. Those are very, very different things. The leering at parts of a woman's body, yeah, what's wrong with you? You're an idiot, right? Like everybody knows that's wrong. Everybody knows you don't do that. When we get into the unwanted advances,
Have we learned about the gym thing where some people just, the women thinking the men are staring them at the gym and it turns out to be total BS? Yeah, I take that with a huge heaping of grain, but unwanted advances. I'm also very wary because of the whole Skullgirls stuff against the whole Mike thing. But I have a bias, okay. And it definitely sounds like these women are of a particular perspective. So
thing, did that happen in the office? Did that happen on work time with a colleague? I'd need more details of that. And the inappropriate comments in the office, that's probably the one that a lot of people are like it's an immediate like shock pad, right? Because what's totally fine and appropriate for one group is bothersome to another. And I am learning a lot.
she's learning a lot.
I have never seen people so excited about Clock King and Calendar Man in my life, and I thought that was extreme. It's not necessarily that a guy is doing anything inherently wrong. It's just you're talking about a
Let's
type
get
of
back into the article.
truth. It's also raising some red flags for me, and if I were a journalist, I would not necessarily run this, okay? I have heard everything from groping claims to incidents involving senior staff. I guess they took out the name, all of whom are men. Yet the only thing we had as a result was a company-wide seminar that lasted an hour. Everyone who attended was asked to sign a statement confirming they'd received the training. It felt like it was just a way for them to cover their arses. This is the sentence that gets me. I have heard everything from groping claims. I have heard everything from groping claims, not I was groped. I heard somebody say they were groped. To incidents involving senior staff, all of whom are men. What does that mean? Like that sentence strung together makes it seem at first that senior staff are groping women, senior male staff. And it starts really sucking. And I'm telling you this so you can understand it. Management doesn't like it. The people being victimized don't like it. But the first thing.
Okay, I think that's enough to get the gist. You can watch this video on your own. Interesting woman. Okay. And covers things quite an interesting way. I've encountered her videos before with more obscure topics, so might not always agree with her particular opinion, but she does cover things that I think seem to fly under a lot of people's radar, and I can approve of that. And that's about all I can say on that particular front. This is just some basic outlined research that I stumbled across. So for those of you, because it seems like a catch-22. Before Sweet Baby Inc., they had 10 women at least, enough to sort of make all these particular issues among the Rocksteady corporate structure. And then afterwards, I have to assume it's afterwards because Sweet Baby Inc. was established in 2018. And this is very likely the reason why they brought Sweet Baby Inc. to come in and consult with the writing of it. Because, sexism claims, bring in let me not call them that. The sort of people to clean up all this sort of progressive, let's call it woke ideology that existed within at least a small segment of the gaming community. And is there really any more that I can really say on this? As I said, I found a very interesting sort of point here. And I'm wondering, I looked through, none of these people are talking about the game at all. They could have an NDA or just be embarrassed, as I said. The Kim, Mick Askillet, I'm putting extra letters in that because it's funnier that way. She has no actual videos on her channel anymore. We have this particular.
There would be a position
here.
for someone like me, and it being a huge Batman fan, it turned out that Rocksteady were looking for a writer at that time, and it was very much a time where games were starting to recognise that games needed bigger stories. We were starting to have BAFTA award-winning story games like God of War and so on. So I think off the back of this demand, games started to stop just using a designer to fill in gaps where lines should be. They actually started to look for writers, and we're going
narrative designer, folks,
how to work
also comedian,
bring your writing expertise. So really, it's a long way of saying it was a very different time.
Keep that all in mind.
Then. It wasn't like it is now, but it is very difficult to get in. It was.
Keep in mind, I'm gonna just probably could have done a little bit more prep. Let's see if she starts talking about all this fun stuff, because this is very recent, very freaking recent. March 15th, 2024, this particular interview. And it's on a live stream, and yeah, a whole bunch of happy chatters down there from what I'm seeing. D&D, bringing up anything particular that can really take it. Maybe I'm reading a little bit too much.
I've done Q&As before. Good, this is going to go. So I don't want to talk too much about me because I've been to Q&As before where people do give a very.
But when am I a writer, right? Like, when does that come true? Like, am I good at writing tweets? Am I good at writing a 80,000?
This is just funny.
Like,
this is not the other Kim.
Someone, how would you sort of identify someone as being sort of a writer or sort of being ready, which presumably was the Arkham series of games? And so we've got Bree in chat just saying, did you work on one of the Arkham games? If so, what was that experience like? And I guess really what I'd like to hone in there is like, that's a AAA. That's a massive IP. It's a massive character who's internationally famous. That's not going from indie to something big. That's starting big. So that must have felt quite monumental in some capacity. Like, I'm a Batman fan as well. True.
Yeah, I'm sort of going through this, seeing if there's anything about the Kill the Justice League game. Doubting it. Oh, maybe here.
And the reason for that is because there was discussions as to whether or not. So what I did with those games was I kind of came in at the bridging point between Arkham Knight and Suicide Squad. And the reason for that is because there was discussions as to whether or not Suicide Squad was going to be canon or not. And that's kind of where I was coming in and to kind of go, if it is canon, then we've got some issues because some characters from Arkham Knight are dead. Deadshot was white, is now black. Things like that we had to kind of address it in the moment. So that's really where I came in, and I think that's when they specifically wanted someone who came from a different background to come in and go, how do we develop this story further, and how do we take characters that maybe we have put in a lead role capacity, people like Harley Quinn and Boomerang and King Shark, how do we make them main characters that people want to play, and so on. So that's really where I came in with a bit more TV development, character development skills. And so that's how I started there. But to explain it, I will never not be humble about it, and regardless as to what happens.
Yeah, if her stuff made it into the final game, she should be embarrassed. I don't know why this guy's not pressing him on it. Probably wouldn't. Okay.
Happens in any job that you do, I will always be so grateful for getting that opportunity. I got the gig after being told to do a writing test, and I'd never been more excited to do free work. I never actually refused to do unpaid writing tests, but at that point, I would have done an unpaid novel. If they wanted me to talk about Batman characters, I was like, give it to me. It's like just that sheer joy of being able to not just show my writing, but to do it with characters I would never have imagined in a million years I'd get to tell these stories with. And it was just pure joy. And to
women,
get
right, guys?
I cannot emphasize enough.
I hope no women are watching.
I got my dream job after almost a decade of trying and rejections. And I used to get, within the first year of writing, I had a rejection folder that I told myself I would look back on once I achieved amazing success. That folder lasted about 6 months before I had to shut it down because I couldn't deal with the amount of rejections that were there. So call me a bit of a romantic. I think most writers are, but it gives you an idea as to what that struggle was. So to get that, it meant
it's tough
to get that opportunity.
You learn from Kim. It's a hard knock life going into this.
Feel myself welling up at the idea of me writing for Batman. But I won't live your life for you. No. But what I'd love to know now, there's definitely like a sort of good topic here in the chat, which is this idea of where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Where are they hiding? Who's being sneaky with them?
Yeah.
There's some commentary on, is it as simple as getting the right discords and just keep networking? Is it, is someone just slamming all the writing?
So they're not going to talk about the game or the culture around the game.
Referrals. In terms of especially for juniors, where are these opportunities, or where aren't they?
I think they're hidden behind a multi-layered excuse pattern that I've noticed in the games industry. And it's something that I find particularly frustrating, and some people might be aware already, but I started a program called Play It Forward, which was a 1-year mission statement based on this. Because everything that I'm seeing game devs experiencing now, that's why I experienced in TV when no one wanted to take me seriously, because I was young. Because comedy at that point didn't really want female writers, because I didn't have an agent. All these barriers I was really struggling to get against. And here were people that had maybe written an episode of EastEnders and they're getting all the gigs. And I'm like, why aren't they taking a chance on new fresh talent? And why won't they give me that opportunity? Because I would write a million scripts to demonstrate and showcase. But even getting someone to read them was hard enough. So it felt like,
I can say I like her attitude about this. Obviously, her conduct sort of fucked her over. Maybe there really was stuff going on. Maybe she just hyper triggered, hyper maternal, and the other women came to her, so she sort of took it on. There's so much speculation that can go on with this particular process.
Everything was kind of set against me, and in games I have noticed this a lot. Now I do think that there is a little bit of companies dragging their heels a bit with offering the odds junior position, but this has been
a lot of boring stuff. Let's see if anything good comes up here.
They can then have, and I know that when they send it to narrative teams, they will be more inclined to look at it and go, this is actually what we're looking for in a narrative designer. This is actually what is an industry standard template of what we would hope to see in the day-to-day working, as opposed to what some of these Prussians are actually turning out with at the end. So that's what inspired me to do it. And so it's going to be 6 lessons. We're going to be looking at world building, dialogue systems, process which are called DNA, which stands for design narrative art, which we use particularly at Riot Games.
Okay, she's just pushing her little seminar, I guess. That's why she's coming out of the woodwork. Coming on the stream. Sheesh. I am curious about this.
Have resources.
Probably nothing here. Probably should have previewed it, but I was just like, this is good.
Emailing us, we don't know.
This is good stuff. With the whole Blizzard stuff, the Blizzard controversy seems to have a sort of overlap here. Oh, interesting. I'm sort of missing out by having the transcript up. So here's a very interesting thing here. Some of the commentary on the side is definitely very interesting. Oh, maybe not a lot of it. Okay, so let's bring it back up, folks. Bring it back up. Pull it back. Pull it back.
You need
Get
the
some of
help.
the
Let's email us
commentary.
that you need the help. So please do just drop an email. Email
On
we're
the
at
plus
hello
side.
@Into Games, or you can email Sprints.
On the plus side, some smaller company offers sensitivity reader roles for people from the minority communities so that their representation can be more authentic.
Focus. What we'll say is after the end of
That's
this,
sort of
because
the
I know we only get
mindset.
X amount of time left. If there's any question that wasn't answered, I am on the Discord. I will spend a little time afterwards trying to answer.
LinkedIn, Into Games, me, Jonas Garway. I'll send anyone a Discord link who wants it, and I can pop it in the
Demon that it normally is. It never goes away, but it's a reminder that you're doing the job that you want to do because you care. That's how I'd see it. It's just a reminder of that.
Maybe
Don't see it as anything more.
anyone
than that.
given
And
hard
again, there's
questions in
absolutely
here?
no one that you will meet in this industry.
Any hard questions within the calls from the, oh, here's some good ones. Sorry, I almost cucked out. We got some good ones here. Got some good ones, folks.
The aspect of it. Everyone has it.
entering the industry. It is everywhere. You know, people of all ages, of all seniorities, of all expertise. Imposter syndrome comes up like so frequently, you know, especially when we talk about that kind of that diversity and inclusivity angle, where you get a lot of people with a lot of confidence, and they have walked themselves into a position. Good for them, you know, whatever they're doing over there. But the fact is, it's the people who have that imposter syndrome, and it's largely the people who don't see themselves already in the games industry that talk themselves out of it.
It happens in two ways. I find imposter syndrome affects people in two ways. One is not a particularly nice one, and I have found that it's when people have imposter syndrome, they tend to project. And with the
it almost seemed like they were gonna get into something decent. I swear. Okay, another deep dive into the transcript. The false alarm, people. Nothing really great there. Fun about they're really skirting the line here. They're getting into imposter syndrome. I understand that. You fake it until you make it and shit like that. And she sort of probably blew her chances. Okay, maybe something here.
background and how we've got to where we are. I have yet to work for the studio, and I've worked for Rocksteady, I've worked for Supercell, I've worked for Lucid Games, I've worked with Riot Games, I've worked with Playground Games, I've worked with PlayStation, I've Savage. None of them use Twine. So I'm going to be honest, I've yet to come across one that does. There is probably one or two out there, but really Twine is something that tends to get taught to students. But if you're going to show me what you can do, like
okay,
did I miss something? So Crispy Bacon Bits says, are there any tools you would recommend for writing a narrative idea, such as Twine or Artsy, Draft? I don't know what those are, by the way. And how
I don't know what I
showcase
are
them on
either.
the portfolio?
Okay.
So what I would say, something that tends to get taught to students. But if you're going to show me what you can do, like I've never had to learn it. Put it that way. I am now at where I am, and I've never even had to learn Twine. Someone tried to get me to do it for a writing test, and I had to say, I'm really sorry, I don't know how to use this, and I can't learn it.
She's getting too old, folks.
That is because the games industry has gone so fast so quickly that there are just far more user-friendly tools now, like Artsy Draft. And don't get me wrong, Artsy Draft is still, you're going to need a couple of days to get your head around it, but that for me is a lot more user-friendly. And especially for story-led games with multiple characters and so on, that is a tool that we're more likely to use. But to be honest, you don't even need that in your portfolio. It's good to have. See, even if you just have a spreadsheet and you're able to write down the triggers, what that trigger's there for.
See, what triggers are there for? Okay.
For who the character is, what the line is, what I'm going to see from that spreadsheet.
Okay, it's different.
Is,
it's different than the trigger I was thinking about. Yeah, false alarm, folks. Okay, a whole bunch of interesting stuff. Definitely not like the other Kim trying to sort of do the sort of pressuring, but she definitely worked on Fable. Well, it definitely seems like she worked on Fable. Is she going to get a credit on Fable? IMDb probably would say so, and she'll probably be fine with that unless there's another sexual harassment. Again, Martin, not me, not any relations. That's his first name. Was also on Suicide Squad and also on Fable, so I assume maybe he took their side or softly and be like, oh yeah, I'm jumping ship, going over, sorry about everything you went through, blah blah blah, here's this particular matter here. Okay, let's hear some good stuff.
If you have the skills there, Phil, if you have something interesting there, Yeah, I mean, this is why I never put my age on a CV. I'm never going to do that. It used to be a long time. I wouldn't even say that my first name was female. I used to put K dot surname because I didn't even want them to know I was a woman. You know, it's we go in with these kind of worries that there is an ism somewhere that will be held against us. You are going to come across someone who is going to see you as older and go, oh, you know, I can't mold them, I can't teach them.
Ageism, sexism.
People like that. Fortunately, I do think that they are in the minority. And again, that goes for young people looking for senior roles. Again, you're going to get people where they're going to go, oh no, well, I'm 10 years older than them, and I don't see someone that young being at the same level.
Yeah, probably not a lot to pull out of this.
I don't think it's anything we need to be getting our pitchforks out with yet. At the moment, you know, given the diversity hire there, anyone is really safe from that kind of judgment. And again, that even goes for straight white males at the moment, you know, given the diversity hire, they're going into interviews thinking I'm not going to get picked because I don't tick a diversity box. It goes across the board. It goes across the board, and unfortunately, I think it probably exists across the board as well, but not for everyone. It's such a hard question to answer.
Oh, interesting. Kim, Mick asks, kill it, killing it with sort of bringing up real quick. White males, hard to get a job, preference, blah blah blah. I wonder if that has some connection. But I get a little bit conspiratorial here sometimes. Take it with a grain of salt or many other grains or things. Okay. It's sprinkled in. Probably not worth going over seriously.
And their concern is that, well, if it's not a horror game, then they might not want me. Scrap that. Give me a horror script. Tell me you like horror. Show me the writer that
Mostly
you are.
About hire me. You want to get hired? I want to be hired. Give me money. Maybe we can go together. I am female comedian. I do the funny.
You have a bit of a genre specialty yourself.
Yes.
In comedy.
Yes, I do. Yes. Yeah, I'll just talk about it. What I can say is I'm also working on a horror movie right now. But what I find is comedy writers and horror writers are normally the same type of people. You'll notice there's a lot of comedy and horror crossover, and the reason for that is there's just a love for the element of surprise, whether it's making you scream, whether it's making you laugh. That's what we live for. That's where our God complex lies. So yes, no, I did start in comedy. I was
I really have to wonder why she fucked things up by sort of leading the spear. Maybe she legitimately thought, maybe she was pressured in. Who the fuck knows? It seems like this is a way to kill your career. I'm surprised she's doing this when she worked on Fable. The things turned sour in the background of Fable that is having her, again, just only speculate, reading between the lines, seeing what evidence is out there. Oh, here's a good one.
It's like a rubber band. Get very, 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 very serious, and then I have to just let it ping for a second.
Great.
It's like I do remember applying for Spider-Man for Insomniac, and they didn't choose me. And the feedback was they did say she's definitely more of a comedy writer. That's just not quite what we're looking for, and that's totally fine. I stood out. They didn't want me, but it is why Rocksteady did want me, and it is why Fable, which is a funny game, did want me, because they started to notice a pattern in my writing. So again, stand out. Make sure that you stand out with what you love, because yes,
beware of this for anyone who's going to pick up Fable. They picked her for her comedy. She could be overselling this
comedy person, and that is why people started to pick me up for things, because I got known for that style. You will have your own, whatever it is, but yeah, comedy is kind of what got me here in the end.
And to sort of expand on that just a little bit more in terms of like, if someone thought,
I keep thinking that there's something here, then it dies down.
That's the way I want to go. Is there a way that someone gets better at it? Like, obviously there's certain parts that are just your personality that you can't learn someone else's personality. Mm-hmm. But how does someone learn or improve comedy? You know, is that something that you kind of gone through that
teach it
process, that development?
I'm looking for all the buzzwords. Sorry,
was very important because you're gonna know if it's funny or not very quickly as soon as you're on stage. That's probably
that's fair enough. Sounds like she's actually done it.
Don't look at another comedian and go, oh, I could maybe copy that style. Make yourself laugh first. Think about something, even if it's a memory that you have, but the last time when you really gutted yourself laughing. Think about that and write it down. There's a very good phrase that a comic that I worked with called John Maloney used to say, and he used to say, the funny person is not the person that's always telling the joke.
Yeah,
the funny person is the person that's
boring a stream. I could have
there's humor and things that aren't meant to be funny.
Probably going to close up soon.
Make you laugh. Think about you as a
sorry, it's not as exciting as other streamers. Probably would be making fun of that red hair.
That's missing right now. And sit down, make yourself laugh. Think of
nothing more to see here. I mean, it's definitely an interesting connection that I found. Sorry if it's not as exciting as some things out there. Kim is just the other Kim, not this Kim, is full of bad takes and doubling down. I would like to hear from the people like this about this sort of a sexual harassment thing. And it definitely, I think, is the sort of missing link between why Sweet Baby Inc. came into the Justice League and why it was so dog shit. But there's probably a lot of other elements in there. And this is the woman. Yes, this is the woman. Blame her. Blame her for completely I mean, it's not her directly her fault. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lucifer. Wonder about this myself. I hope other people pick up on this because it's not as crucial as Sweet Baby Inc. Okay. I'm not saying it's any what legitimately worth concern comparison to that whole talk, but it's definitely something to factor in. More evidence you have, the greater understanding you have of the industry. And I think this is definitely a missing link. And maybe the comedy of Fable will be good. Maybe not. I don't know. It's really hard to tell with this particular matter here. And I'm not trying to drag this particular stream out any longer. I guess I will end with a beautiful beautiful article as long as it comes up. The rise and fall of Rocksteady. So not Sweet Baby Inc. Very possibly Sweet Baby Inc. destroyed Rocksteady, or at least the particular studio. But let's take a look at the article before closing this all out. Okay, the rise and fall of Rocksteady. How a developer went from Batman Arkham series to underwhelming Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. And this is recently, last month. Okay, before all this stuff goes on. And yeah, the year 2015, Batman. Okay. That's not all the other stuff. It could also just be lazy and put the video out. Ooh. Yeah, laziness. Laziness for the win, folks. They got a YouTube video. I can take a break. Sit back and make commentary where need be.
One of the world's finest heroes, snuffed out by this.
The year was 2015. Batman Arkham Knight was released for Xbox One, PC, and PS4, serving as the finale to the acclaimed Arkham trilogy. It remains a pretty good title, whether you're a fan of open world games, superhero titles, or beat 'em ups with excellent combat. But launching after 4 years of development, that too after Arkham City, in some players' eyes, it wasn't enough to be pretty good. There were legitimate reasons for not liking it, from the Batmobile sections and tank battles to some underwhelming boss fights. The less said about the PC port, which led to an unprecedented suspension of sales and widespread refunds, or the shockingly short Red Hood and Harley Quinn DLC.
Oh, I hated the Riddler section. I'm like, okay, I want to do these, but they're lame and what the fuck. Yes, definitely the weakest. I like some of the ideas in the game, and they're getting into this.
Objectives, a short story that falls off heavily past the first few hours, underwhelming boss fights, etc. The fact that it's a live service title, which will slowly drip feed content over seasons while pushing microtransactions, cosmetic only, but still, is all the more disappointing. What happened to Rocksteady? How did it go from delivering a trio of excellent superhero titles, setting the bar for the genre and arguably video game trilogies, to floundering so badly? Think back to Batman Arkham Asylum's launch in 2009. Rocksteady wasn't well known back then, but it knew what it wanted to do. It took inspiration from Grant Morrison.
And we have our answer now. Well, at least a partial answer. Sweet Baby Inc. definitely influenced it. And what influenced Sweet Baby Inc. to come in? Possibly that sexual harassment claim. Yeah, the Riddler sections. Batmobile, I really like the idea, but poorly implemented. Horribly implemented. God.
Arkham Asylum, a serious house on serious Earth, crafting a darker version of the prison than most have known while presenting an original story. Batman wasn't treated as tacked on. The game revolved around his ethics, emphasizing hand-to-hand combat when necessary and stealth when possible. Everything from the Metroid-like exploration and gadgets to the rhythmic combat and direction is pitch perfect. It's almost difficult to believe that it was developed in 21 months with a small development team and looked as incredible as it does. Within 3 weeks, Batman Arkham Asylum sold almost 2 million units. A sequel was already planned before its launch, with a secret for Arkham
Yeah,
City
this is why I wasn't
cleverly hidden
excited
away.
about Spider-Man. It looked like it used the same exact model. I just got tired of that game model. I get bored easily. Plus, I'm glad I didn't get into the Spider-Man games now, given how they've gone.
In 2011, Batman Arkham City launched and went even bigger. This time the goal was to incorporate Batman in Gotham or a cityscape close enough to allow encountering familiar villains. Rocksteady also wanted to focus on grappling and
God
gliding for
bless
traversal while
Mark Hamill's voice for the Joker. Oh, and
ensuring the Dark Knight had his
fuck
gadgets
the
from the
scene. Oh, fuck. I can't remember his name, the most famous Batman voice. I'm dropping the ball here. I'm dropping the ball. Please forgive me.
previous game ready to go. Arkham City also allowed for a scenario where Batman was effectively isolated from the Batcave and thus had to rely on his wits and some supply drops to survive while uncovering the mystery of Protocol 10. With the location serving as a citywide prison, it made sense for familiar villains like Two-Face, Clayface, Mr.
Oh,
Freeze,
sorry.
and of course the
He's
Joker
good,
to
but
appear. Investigations
these
into different
pompous
cases,
people annoy me.
stopping random crimes, it was the 10th best-selling game of 2011, which is worth noting. Even the competition includes blockbusters like Gears of War 3 and The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Over 12.5 million copies were reportedly sold by 2020, which is insane. From that perspective, it's easy to understand the disappointment.
Yeah.
Here. Which now brings us to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's no secret that Rocksteady wasn't meant to develop this title. Warner Bros. Games Montreal had that role following the launch of Batman Arkham Origins, and hinted at in a post-credits
That's
cutscene.
right, Kevin.
Following a reportedly
God.
underwhelming reception to the title, it was allegedly canceled in 2016. Rocksteady was tasked with development and reportedly began working on it in 2017. The rumor that the developer pitched a Superman title was false, but at that point, it was unknown whether the Suicide Squad title even
Conroy.
existed. When 2020 rolled around,
Kevin
rumors
Conroy.
suddenly
How can I
emerged of the
freaking
title with
forget
Gotham
that?
Knights
Oh,
also
yeah,
cropping
thank
up.
you.
Both titles were officially announced at
Kevin
DC Fandom
Conroy.
2020, and the rest is history. But while little is known about the development of Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad is a somewhat different story. Around the time that the latest previews for the title dropped in January of 2023, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier revealed that Rocksteady was working on an unannounced multiplayer title that was also an original franchise and a Batman VR title. After being assigned to Suicide Squad, it allegedly had several false starts and multiple delays because the studio was transitioning into an unfamiliar genre. In 2022, Rocksteady's co-founders, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, left the company. With Hill serving as a director on the title, his departure caused some concern. Axel Ridby, who worked at Massive Entertainment from 2006 to 2016 and helped create...
I wonder if he's one of the people who got kicked out. When did that happen? Shit, I'm on the article.
Axel Ridby, who worked at Massive Entertainment from 2006 to 2016 and helped create teams for projects like Tom Clancy's The Division, would take over as game director. Two other directors, Rasmus Hojengard and Adam Doherty, also worked on the project. And considering the sheer length of time since Rocksteady's last game, some assumed that the development team had changed completely. Clearly, Suicide Squad isn't good because many of the people who made the Arkham series great are gone. Right? A brief comparison of staff between the releases somewhat says otherwise. Martin Lancaster and Ian Ball, who worked as writers on Arkham Knight, are still around. So are designer Ian Ball, programmer Ben Wyatt, and artist David Higo. Granted, these are a handful of names from a studio with 250 employees, but they're those who had major roles on Rocksteady's best titles. Was the departure of Hill, who also contributed to the writing, really enough to cause such a drop in quality? Even if WB Games decided to shift to a live service approach, causing Hill and Walker to leave in October of 2022, the controversial gameplay reveal occurred in January of 2023, confirming the existence of a battle pass, store, microtransactions, and whatnot. These elements
that won't be his last
been
one.
in place for a long time prior, along with the bare bones end game, lackluster writing, and underwhelming mission types. We may never know what happened behind the scenes, but Rocksteady may have been out of its depth for this type of game. Going from a beat-em-up style game with stealth to a looter shooter isn't easy, especially one that needs more content over time. It's not the first time that a studio skilled in single-player titles failed when working on a co-op centric
So sexual assault scandals sort of rocked them. It doesn't bring up any of that. It's like it's scrubbed from history. Interesting. Or maybe they don't feel like since it was redeemed. Rocksteady of old is dead, and the current faces an uphill battle to support a title with extensive time and money sunk into it. Hopefully, one day it can return to what it does best with its soul intact. I think they're Note, the views expressed in this article are those of the author, not necessarily represent the views, and should not be attributed to Game Bolt as an organization. Way to stand behind your writers. Oh, okay. Beautiful stuff. There is fun stuff all around here. I don't know if it's worth looking into this other particular woman who came up in the writing of Fable. I mean, yeah, she's got a couple of actual really interesting videos that I will probably go over, see if I can find any woke stuff within her talk or anything she writes. But that's for another time and place. So for everyone watching this in future and everyone watching now, take care. Remember, there's a whole host of information out there if you start looking around, poking around in different places. There's a bit of speculation involved. You want to try to find as many facts to get the best image of how shit like this occurs, at least in my retarded opinion. At least that's what some people claim. Peace out. Bye.